This obsesses you. There's a kind of internal imperative, and it's really strong. It dominates you.
General perception is, if you don't straighten things out, if you're not tidy, if you're not neat, if you don't, that's it, if you're not tidy and you're not neat, then you don't have OCD. You can, because if you do tidy things more than your mum or dad, if you do clean your hands after you've gone to the toilet, you have OCD. That's the general perception of it. Whereas, yeah, the things I just said are symptoms, but if you times them by 10 and add a lot of other shit to it, then that's a more realistic way of looking at it. My biggest thing was probably, I don't know, I remember like I was 15 I think, and looking back now I'm like, geez, why did I do that? But there was two guys outside on bikes rather, and I absolutely freaked out. Like, I looked at the front door, saw these guys on bikes, and instantaneously I just came up with the thought that they were like scouting my house up, like burgle me. Even that, you know, like even the thought of, so what, you know, but that just like did my head in big time, and it was like, shit, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was normal to like freak out like that. But I suppose if something feels real to someone, then it kind of is, even if it isn't, if you know what I mean. To me it was real, yeah, and to me it was a big deal. So I guess that was like the first thing, and then like since then, not to this day, but for some weeks and a month after that, I would constantly worry about those guys, like, after that.
You know, it appears in many different ways. I mean, you can get it about almost everything. That's the weird thing. It's like when you just do simple things like cook or put your clothes on and washing, there's always a little bit of an obsessive nature about trying to get it as perfect as you possibly can. You know, even with like quite awkward materials like organics, you know, when you're trying to work, say, like clothing or wood or leather, you know, they're kind of imperfect, but what you're trying to do with them, you're trying to perfect the way you do something, you know. I mean, even something like the stitching, when you hand stitch, you're trying to make sure that each stitch is identical to the last one, and it, you know, it conforms to nice lines and all that. So it is about sort of almost like an aesthetic eye for these things. But the weird thing is, it kind of, in yourself, it makes you feel better, more sort of okay, you know, because normally you just don't. You feel very surreal. You feel that you're here but you're not. And that's quite a hard thing to communicate to other people, this kind of surrealistic feeling about yourself. You know you're here, you feel a sense of reality, but you don't also. You feel very disjointed from it. So I think the OCD side of it is to feel more connected to it. So it's a tactile thing, really, and it allows you sort of constantly connect with reality because you feel very much not connected with it. Can't really say much more on that side of it, really.
How thoroughly I washed, like, you know, it was, I'm not even proud to say this was dumb, but you know, there were certain times where I'd been so obsessed with getting clean. Mum, you probably already know this, but I used bleach. I bought bleach in the bathroom, and I cleaned with some of that. And nothing happened, it's still not bad, but I think going to that extent, other day, I was speaking to my mum, and it's like, I don't know, she said I wouldn't have you any other way, and that's quite nice, because in a way I agree as well, because where I am now, I'm happy. It's who I am, you know, I don't label myself as different, I just label myself as me.